Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Doug Pearson, Nebraska Attorney General. When 50 Attorney Generals come together, 50 Attorney Generals send a strong message to Google. And I'm not going to quote Joe Biden, but I am going to tell you it's a big deal. And this is significant as we go forward. The European Commission looking at this all indicate that this is a significant issue. So I look forward to working with my partners in this case, and I hope that we can do and understand that our mission is to serve the citizens of our state. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Rick Rylander.
All right, the AGs are happy to take some questions. General Paxton and General Racine will answer questions. Unless you have a specific question for one of these AGs, please ask for them by name. Let's do this orderly, and we'll take questions.
And let me just say, I couldn't be more proud of the women and men behind me and those who have signed on. They're amazing people, and I just really want to thank them for their comments today. And as far as questions, just know that this is the beginning of our investigation, so we may not know all the answers. We don't know all the answers. And there may be some things we just can't answer because it is an investigation, but Carl and I are happy to answer questions. And if you have a specific question for a specific AG, just let us know. So,
thank you so much, Dave Ferrer from AMLEX. I understand that it's early days. I understand that the investigation hasn't been concluded, but would you be willing to go ahead and assume that the conclusion finds monopolistic tendencies? Can you discuss what some of the possible remedies might be? Would Google, for example, be required to sell off DoubleClick?
So I'm going to let Kurt, we'll both answer questions, but the answer is we are literally just starting the investigation, and this is the kickoff, the demand for information. We just sent it out, and so it's really difficult to answer that question with as little as we know.
No, I think Ken has it right, and it's certainly a fair question. But generally speaking, you've got to find liability before we get to any remedies. And the remedies available for an antitrust action are there for folks to see. There's behavioral modification, the kind that you talked about. But I think we're better off leaving remedies unless and until we get to a remedy stage.
Thanks. Tony Rom from the Washington Post. Attorney General Paxton, you began by saying that the initial focus is in advertising, but as I listened to all of your peers, I heard things including smartphones, search, data privacy, and so forth. Is it fair to say that this is a top-to-bottom antitrust review of all of Alphabet and Google's business practices?
It's not fair to say that yet. We've definitely started off with our questions. Our request for information is all related to advertising. So, you know, sure. So all of our information, everything that we requested so far is related to advertising. If there are other facts that demonstrate that we need to go in another direction, we will talk about it, and we're certainly open to doing that.
Dave Shepardson from Reuters, just to follow up on that. Does that mean you've already issued subpoenas or civil investigative demands to Google in regards to advertising?
Yes, that's correct.
Can you tell us, was there just one state missing, the 49 states in the District of Columbia?
It's 48 states, District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and there are 2 states missing.
Tell us what those 2 states are.
Well, you might not be surprised at California, where Google is located, and then Alabama.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Andrew Harris from Bloomberg News.
And by the way, they can still change their minds.
Even if it's too soon to say what a possible remedy would look like, let's turn the question around. What should a fair marketplace look like? What isn't happening that you think should be happening?
So, and we'll go with both of us. In a fair market, you shouldn't punish somebody for having a unique technology. But when you have companies that may be preventing other entrants into the market with unfair practices and dominating a market that then ultimately hurts consumers, because even though there's maybe not a direct cost to searching on the internet, if advertising costs are higher, who ends up paying that? The advertisers pay it. That's all passed on to consumers. So ultimately, our consumers are harmed. So that's our focus.
Yeah. The only thing I would touch on and emphasize again is the ubiquitousness and the power of the search engine itself. I mean, Google itself in its initial first years talked about it being the best search engine to find you what it is you're looking for and then let you loose on the internet. We know that over time that model has changed to where the search result invariably is laden with Google-related goods, services, and those who pay Google. That's a very different model than that model with which they began, and it certainly merits our scrutiny as it has merited the scrutiny of other sovereigns.
Sir.
Hi, Brian Fung with CNN. I wonder if you feel that there's been sufficient antitrust enforcement by federal authorities to date, and I wonder if Attorney General Reyes can also address this question.
So I'll just start off by saying we've talked to the Department of Justice. They're looking at these issues on numerous fronts, and so I'll leave those to the federal government. This is a state action, and so whether they get involved or don't get involved, that's really up to them. So we also, Ray, you want to stop here?
Yeah, thanks. I'll just simply comment and say we're very encouraged right now, working with the administration, with the Department of Justice. I think the FTC is also starting to go in the right direction. I referenced our request for the FTC to open that investigation, and I'll only comment on that. They declined to reopen that investigation at the time that General Racine and I asked them to, and the EU then issued fines and sanctions based on those very same complaints and concerns, and I'll just leave it at that.
And something I should add, this has international overtones. There's a professor of economics from Italy who is here, and she told me that this has great interest overseas as well.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Even if the federal government does not take action after their investigations, will the state attorneys general take action no matter what?
So, Carl?
Yeah, let me just make it really clear here. The state attorney generals, they are an independent bunch, and they can be, quite tenacious. So I'm very confident that this bipartisan group is going to be led by the facts and not be swayed by any conclusion, that may fall short, if you will, if it's inconsistent with our facts on the Fed side. So we're going to do what we think is right based on our investigation.
Just a couple more questions, sir.
Yeah, hi, Brennan Bordelon with National Journal. We're across the street right now from Capitol Hill. There are ongoing antitrust probes related to the tech industry. They are particularly in the House. Do you guys have a message for lawmakers in Congress as they look at this stuff? Is this action a message to Congress?
I wouldn't say it's a message to Congress. This is really an independent, as Carl said, an independent action by the states. And we're not reacting to Congress. We're not trying to lead Congress. We're trying to do what we think is right for our consumers. And so this is clearly not related to anything Congress is doing or the federal government. This is our independent action.
Ma'am.
Charlotte Conti from AFP News Agency. On Friday, we learned that there was an investigation on Facebook. Today it's on Google. Are there more companies to come?
Yes, on Friday, the New York State Attorney General Tish James announced that she had organized a group of about 11 Attorney General, also bipartisan, I should note, to review Facebook and its conduct under the antitrust laws and norms. Whether this is a coordinated expansion, I think remains to be seen. The fact of the matter is that each and every one of our consumers, our citizens and the residents of our states do either have or yearn to have access to the internet, and therefore it's a proper place for State Attorney General to ensure that the landscape is fair and not unfairly manipulated in one company's direction.
Last question right here.
Jerry Dunleavy with the Washington Examiner. Are you able to let us know what you're doing in a coordinated fashion, and then what you plan on doing state by state as individual attorneys general as well?
So I guess coordinated fashion as it relates to the states?
As it relates to this coalition coming together.
Okay, so we have this coalition of 50 states. We have a leadership team that we communicate with every week, and then we'll have, as we learn more information, we'll end up having calls and allow states to participate as much as they want to. So it'll be a very open process for the states, and that's the way we want to run it.
Yeah, it's a little different than an individual state launching a lawsuit, for example. In that instance, other states are free to join or add support if they think that it impacts their consumers. This is an investigation, and the investigation, I'm sure, with the talent that these offices represent, will be thorough and comprehensive.
How will you divide up the work?
Well, so we're leading it out of our office, but we're open with our leadership team. We're very open to participating and using talent from literally every office in this country. So thank you all for being here. It's obviously a very important investigation, and you'll be hearing more about this as the days come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As these attorneys general leave, listen, as they leave, I'm going to stay around. We're happy to take questions. All of our offices, the comms departments in each of these states and all the states participating are also happy to take questions, and press releases will be forthcoming.